I just moved out.
Yeah.
I didn't really do anything. I just left. And then at the same time, I met someone. It was way too fast.
Crazy. I've never heard a straight man.
A guy met
telling
someone
a
right
story where
away.
he just meets a woman.
And then she was like, oh, no, you're sad from that breakup? I'll
Yeah.
help you. We are here with John Kim. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you, you
My
angry
second-
little therapist.
Second at bat.
Yeah.
I love anger. I love anger. And I love that you describe yourself as an angry therapist. I love when people lean into it because
Yeah,
it's
I
a real
think-
emotion that's very powerful.
I was angry because I was unhappy in my 30s. And then I realized that calling myself the angry therapist humanized myself. And I think standing on that is better, meaning the therapist not being a cardboard cutout.
Right.
Totally.
Because I started on Tumblr talking about my feelings.
Back in the day.
Back
yes.
in the day, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you
You guys were just...
do you have rage?
I had a Tumblr.
Did you?
Yeah, of
So
course.
2000,
Yeah, you were a writer.
2010 is when I started Tumblr.
Oh
Nice.
my gosh.
That's... You guys are like in middle school or something?
College.
No, we were
That's
in
when I graduated college.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I started.
I'm not 12.
Oh, actually, I had already graduated college 2010. Yeah, I was
That's
I
when I
graduated in
graduated.
2007. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that young.
Did you
Unlike
have
the-
rage in you? When you say anger,
I wouldn't say rage.
Okay.
Angry, reactive. Rage, I see like throwing chairs,
yeah. Suitcases.
staplers and shit.
Phones.
If you're in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, I want to applaud you. I want to get back to rage, but I want to applaud you for, on the way here, I was listening to the last episode of you guys championing shorter men, not short men, but shorter men who are 5'8", and you said that they were like hot guys on sale.
Yeah.
Which I thought,
buy it.
I was like, yes. And then I was like, wait, what does that mean? Am I on the clearance rack? Because I'm exactly 5'8". So when you guys said that, I was like, yes. And then I was like, wait, on sale? I
like this is that you had an existential crisis on the way to the show.
Yeah.
So you wanted to compliment us, but you also wanted to ask us what the fuck we meant by that.
Yes, it took a black
Yeah.
light to my insecurity.
Well,
and it's like you guys
yeah.
lifted me up and then like at the knees.
Well, I think that people that only are only attracted to tall guys, they're missing out. It's such. It's like
yes.
kind of silly.
I mean, I think they're not serious about relationships, quite frankly.
yeah.
You can
if
have
you're going
things-
off of height, like
you can have things that you look for ideally, but if you meet someone and you really like them and they're 5'8" and not 6 foot, and you connect on all the other levels, but you can't date them because they're 6 foot, then you're the issue.
I dated a guy that was shorter than me. He was one of my favorite guys I dated. Like height for me doesn't come into the equation even a little bit. Like my
Yeah.
boyfriend now is very tall. I'm like, I get it. But also it's like I'm fucking in the kitchen with him and I'm looking up and I'm like,
Yeah.
his head's
Yeah.
above mine. I can't see him. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I grew up with a very tall family. So my dad was 6'6", my brother's 6'4",
my gosh.
really tall family.
Wow.
And so I am not impressed by tall guys because of that. I was around them all the time. They
smell like family.
They
Yeah.
mean nothing to me. Yeah. But I've had a lot of tall boyfriends. But for me, my hottest boyfriends have been shorter because I think it's like you can trade in, right? So I'm not a 10. I'm an 11. No, but like visually, I'm not a 10,
I'm a
right?
42.
So for me to ask for everything is like ridiculous. But anytime I've traded in a couple inches of height, I've gotten way hotter face,
Better personality.
way better body,
Yeah.
bigger dick, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm like, and those things to me are better than height. I can't,
Yeah.
also I'm 5'3.5". I truly can't hear people when they're like at a party,
Yeah.
when they're that much taller than me. And at a certain point, I've dated guys that are so tall that when you're having sex, at least in like a missionary position,
Oh, it doesn't
match
doesn't
up.
line up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
kiss and like it's
your
a
mouth is
problem.
by their
Right.
nipple. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, this is weird. I
Yeah,
don't like
that's not
this.
fun.
Yeah.
There's a saying in Korean, "ki가 크면 맹탕이야," which means that if you're tall, you're lukewarm. You're watered down.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and maybe,
way to rebrand it, baby.
Well, my mom maybe just said that to me to make me feel better.
Tall men also
That's nice.
like over 6 foot 1 or 2. Sorry, Eric. You have your lifespan is literally 10 years less.
Eric is tall and very handsome.
yes.
Yeah, Eric is
he
tall
That's
and
why we
I
hired
don't know
him.
about his penis size, but he's got the other
But
two.
we don't
We don't
either.
either, and that's because we
HR.
have HR, and it's
HR.
us. But no,
we
keep your dick in your
HR
pants
ourselves.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had issues with
yeah.
being short? Like, have you had
It's
it
always been
being used against
insecurity
you?
because I grew up in the 80s where all with like white people, surfers,
Yeah.
blonde hair, blue eyes. I was the only Asian. Our family was the only Asian family, and so all my American friends were tall.
Okay.
And I was always the shorter guy. I wasn't short, like there were people shorter than me.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the 6 feet.
Well,
Yeah.
also I've read some like kind of feedback on dating apps, and a lot of especially Asian men say that they kind of feel invisible on
Yeah.
dating apps and in the world at large. Did you experience that?
Oh my God, are
Yeah.
you kidding me? So
Yeah.
I'm 51, and I wish I was 30 today.
Really?
Because-
Yeah, but you're Asian, so you look better than all those white motherfuckers that are 51.
Well,
you
you look 12 or like 80. It's like one way or the other.
well, you just 1 year when you're 78, then you finally look old.
But that shit hits fast because I felt young, and then now I've got gray hairs. My hair's like it's hitting hard now.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
having like a little midlife crisis in a
Very,
way?
very,
Oh, okay. And
yeah.
what does that look like? What thoughts go through your head during that?
You start. So being Asian, I've always looked younger. I think
Yeah.
for Black or Asian, you got the melatonin. You get compliments. Oh, you look so young.
Yeah.
Right.
After, and maybe for men, it's 50. After 50 for me, it's like I woke up the next day and it was like Freaky Friday. Like I was like, holy shit.
All of a sudden you felt like you were
bags,
old.
hair
Yeah.
receding, white hair.
Yeah. And it
By
just
the
all
way, at
happened.
what point do you shave your head? At what point do
that's-
men halfway? No.
I mean,
I don't know. Definitely like
when you start doing like the little flip,
yeah.
the little flip
You
at
gotta-
the
then you
top
gotta
where it's
shave.
trying
Yeah.
to do.
But
But yours is
I'm holding
yours
on,
is
man.
even.
Yeah, you're
not
not
there.
in an uncomfortable territory yet of like, oh, John, make a decision. Like
You can
it doesn't
also
look
get
like
the
that at all.
hair plugs. Go to
know.
Turkey.
My boyfriend, my
that
boyfriend literally flew to Turkey twice. It was cheap.
Wait,
and
he had to go
Yeah.
twice?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, because he can't do it all in one time.
Wait, he
gotta
got
stay there a
plugs?
while.
Oh,
Yeah, he got they
Wow.
took follicles and they moved
Yeah.
it, and he looks fucking great. They
Really?
totally redid his hairline, and I didn't expect him to look so much better. I was like, whoa, this looks really good.
How long did it take? Because you have to shave your head first.
Yeah, they shave your
Yeah.
head. So you come back, you look like you have a shaved head, and
Yeah.
then it like heals over.
Yeah.
But then it started growing in a couple months, and I'm like,
So
damn.
a few months, I'll look like a monk.
Yeah, but like also too, like bald looks hot.
Yeah,
on
you would
guys.
look
Depending
good
on the
bald.
head.
I'm looking at it right now. You could pull off bald.
No, I have the widow's peak. I've done it.
I
So in the
think.
90s when Brad
What's wrong
Pitt
with
was
the
doing
widow's
it,
peak?
it's just-
Women don't like that. I don't give a fuck, honestly. Just act hot. Act like you like
it's-
yourself.
exactly.
I'm
or
serious.
don't act.
Or just be.
Get there. Get
For
there.
sure,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Do the work for years and years and
Yeah.
years to like yourself, and then go to Turkey and get hair plugs.
Yeah.
So we solved
When you
it.
realize, I still can't live with that.
Yeah, I think women care less about.
We're too
Things
busy being
you just
shit on
gotta be
for our
funny.
looks that we're doing our own thing
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're
yeah.
preoccupied with
Right.
that we're like, I don't even fucking notice when
Just
men change
remember
their
our
looks.
birthday and our favorite snack. Jesus Christ.
Truly.
Yeah.
Also, I think humor and ambition goes a lot further than abs and
Yes.
and hair and height.
Yeah.
I used to think that, but then I just was like, I want to do those parts, so I picked abs. But yes, I
Yeah.
hear you. In theory.
Sometimes you just want a hot piece, John.
Yeah, but also, don't women change on what they put weight on as opposed to in your 20s, 30s?
Right.
Yeah, I'm
turns
going the
out-
opposite direction.
Yeah, no, that's what happens.
Digressing.
That's what happens. So now what do you put weight on?
Abs.
Yeah, exactly. Because women in their 20s are like, no, I want security, I want passion, I want someone to make me
I
laugh.
provided that for myself because everyone else was dragging their feet, and
Right.
then so now I
Mama
don't
wants
want
abs.
Listen, abs are made in the kitchen, but I'm snacking in there, so I gotta. I got some. My boyfriend has to have abs, and then
love
I can work and make money. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. That's a
What do
card.
you want? And there's what you want. I mean, you're married to one of the coolest chicks we know. Truly,
Yeah.
We
Thank
do
you.
not say that about everybody. we
thank
love
you.
her. We
It's
love
because
your
she's
wife.
East Coast.
She's just no, but she's different. Like she's East Coast for sure. That is
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
But also she just kind of the way she frames things and her calmness and her like I would just trust her in a crisis.
Truly.
And I don't
She is
meet a
very
lot of
calm.
people. Corinne is
Yeah.
one of those people I would trust in a crisis, but they're rare to come by.
That's from trauma. And,
Hell
and,
yeah,
and
baby.
growing up fast and living in fight or flight where your homeostasis is chaos.
Yes,
That's what makes
absolute
you- that's what
eruption.
makes you calm.
Absolute eruption. It's
Yeah.
amazing. But like, have you changed like what you appreciate about your partner?
Oh, yeah.
How's that evolved?
I mean, one's ability to look inward is
Yeah.
huge. You can't, I think, have any kind of healthy, like the plane will not have wings unless you have the ability to repair rupture. So it doesn't matter, how the chemistry is or how much you love someone. If you guys can't actually repair ruptures, fight without fighting, take ownership, like it's eventually. I always compare it to like a rocket in a plane where you can meet someone, it's explosive and there's chemistry and it just feels amazing, which is a rocket. but it just goes up.
Yeah.
And eventually it's going to come
Crash.
down, right?
Yeah.
A plane, and also planes, they go somewhere.
Right.
There's a destination.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a mission, an
and
intent.
One engine goes out and it's still gliding.
Yeah.
I think a plane to have wings that is earned, and I think having a partner who is able to take ownership, have capacity, be self-aware, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's sexy.
It is sexy.
It is sexy.
That's an interesting response too, because I think it's always very interesting when people ask you like, oh, if you're dating someone, like, how is it going? I really feel like I cannot give a full answer to that question until we have experienced hardship or conflict. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't,
right,
I'm
right.
like, it's going well because
Yeah.
nothing bad has happened yet.
Yes.
So like, to me, there are a couple instances in a relationship when people really show their true colors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, not that I'm trying to create conflict to see how someone solves it. That's also not a good
No.
approach.
It'll happen, though.
But yeah, when it naturally arises, I really can't make the decision on whether or not this is a feasible life partner for me until we tackle conflict together.
I always say that's when love starts. Because you're just a poster. And there's also filling
Yeah.
in blanks.
And a projection of the other
Chemicals,
person's thing
dopamine,
and all that.
you know, the honeymoon thing.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing the dirty socks on the floor, and then, you know, him not making his bed, like what stuff.
Yeah.
And then when the fight happens, then shit gets real.
Yeah. Have there been instances in your current relationship, in your marriage, where you've behaved in ways that you're like, that's embarrassing?
Yeah, all the time.
And what do you do after that happens? Like, how do you repair that?
We all have parts of us.
Totally.
I forgot who wrote the book, but
I feel like you and I have very traumatic reactions to potentially have very traumatic reactions to a partner, or at least maybe historically
used
you
to,
would have.
for sure.
Yeah.
I used to get pouty if I didn't have sex. I have a
Yeah.
high libido.
Yeah.
Learning to self-soothe.
Women love that.
Where does that come from? Because that's
Which
a problem.
women are you talking about?
No, but it's so funny because I'm in a relationship where I have a higher sex drive, and I would feel
Yeah.
myself, and I'm like, that is the least hot attitude, Krystyna, and you have to really hold yourself
Well,
back.
because then it truly feels like the poutiness as a response to not getting fucked is, to me, wild.
Childish.
Because it's childish, and
It is
like
childish.
nothing is less sexy as long as everything's working correctly in your brain than fucking a
Right.
child.
Of course.
So
Of course.
Right,
I
you're
agree.
pushing-
you're pushing us away.
You nailed something.
Even
which is-
pedophiles don't want to fuck a whiny kid.
Right.
You nailed something, which is the whole mouth to nipple. So
Right.
when a man turns pouty,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's such a turnoff. The energy of that.
That is the biggest pussy dryer when a guy
Yeah.
turns pouty.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I witnessed women be pouty in a relationship where it's like kind of cute. Honestly, like I've seen my one friend, like she gets a little like, I don't know. It's in a way that I'm like, that's kind of cute. Like if I was dating you, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But
But a
when
guy-
men do it, men
No.
can't really do it.
No.
Like once.
Yeah. So I wore the pussy dryer T-shirt for a long time,
Yeah.
20s, 30s.
Damn, yeah, it
Then I
happens.
met a woman who matched me. This is before my current
Your
partner.
poutiness or your
No.
sex drive?
Yeah, we're just
So you're
both,
both like,
pouty. It was a kink, just diapers and pouty and shit. Yeah, no.
If you both like it,
Um,
perfect.
She I mean, every day toys.
Yeah.
It was the first time I engaged with a squirter.
Oh, yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah,
had that
yeah.
experience in my
I've
life,
heard of
and I was
them.
like,
Yeah.
oh. And that was crazy. But you know what? That I needed that experience because it stripped the shame. It made me realize, oh, maybe it's not that I have a problem. We're all just different. And because I thought I had a problem.
Yeah.
Early on, I thought
What, because your sex drive was so high?
I married at 29, Christian, beautiful, but like not a lot of. I was her first everything basically,
Oh, yeah.
which
yeah.
is sweet.
Yeah.
But also, so she walked in.
They don't usually fuck,
What's it?
like in terms of like sex drive matching, in terms of like
No,
kinkiness
yeah.
or dirty,
Yeah,
even really.
and then there was anger and resentment, and she walked in on me having one QuickTime
Masturbating?
video. No, one QuickTime video. Remember QuickTime videos?
Y-
You had
yeah.
to like download it. And
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah.
It was
Oh, like you were
AOL.
watching porn?
One video, yeah, it was like a minute long,
Okay.
and it was as if she walked in on me having sex with another woman.
Oh, no.
It was like almost a deal breaker.
Oh, no.
What?
And so
Really?
I
Did you
thought
like
I
talk
had
to her and we're like, girl, I had that reaction, but I was 16.
well, look, we were both young. She and so
29 is not that young.
The
John.
20 I was
she
gonna
was
say
like
29.
25, 26.
That's pretty sheltered.
Small town Christian, very bubble.
And back then, when
and
internet
also
porn
she was a virgin when I met her.
Yeah.
And also,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
she was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I when I felt that way as I was like 17, probably, I remember with Darren, I like thought he was looking at pictures of Lindsay Lohan's boobs, and I'm like, you're basically cheating on me. But I really believe that, and it took me a while to undo that.
Yeah, but she was. And anyway, so I thought I had a problem.
Oh,
So I was in SAA meetings. I was
from 1 minute quick time
it
video?
was
Damn.
but I wanted to be like the responsible husband.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
something wrong with me?
Yeah.
And then I realized, no, I just kind of have a high sex drive. I'm attracted to adrenaline and dopamine, and it doesn't matter if it's sex or skateboarding or
Yeah.
spitting on my head or whatever,
Yeah. A
right?
whole half pipe, whatever.
Motorcycles,
Yeah.
CrossFit. But then I met this one person who was I couldn't even handle how much she wanted it.
Wow.
Which then normalized it for me.
Okay.
And then now I'm with Vanessa. So it's like the pendulum swing this way. And
Yeah.
that's, and so
And it kind of now you have like balance.
we have balance, but I still have a much higher sex
Yeah.
drive. She also had a kid.
Yeah,
there's,
man.
yeah.
So how do you
there's a lot of
navigate that within a relationship?
lots of conversations.
Really?
What's the
'Cause
conversation?
It's so hard. It's so
Well-
hard for me, even doing this podcast for a decade, when the solution to not fucking is a conversation. Because I can't think of anything that would make me want to fuck less. Like it's not
Well,
like talking
yeah.
about a relationship. That's fine and that makes
Yeah.
sense to me. But like long conversations about the actual act of sex with the person that you constantly have sex with. That's how do we tackle that?
Well, we don't talk about like when we're gonna have sex or anything surface.
Right.
More about like respecting space, how we
okay.
express that.
Okay.
If one of you is being annoying,
What's
if one of
happening
you-
underneath.
Yeah.
So it's more
Okay.
connection.
Okay.
Not like, okay, at 2:00, can you lay sideways and then I'm gonna do not that.
Because there
kind
are people who schedule sex. It's not uncommon at all.
of-
Yeah.
Parents have to schedule. They just have to
Yeah,
schedule
yeah.
sex. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a kid, you got It just doesn't happen.
I've done it
It's on the
before,
show
and I
calendar.
don't have kids, and I'm like, well, this is the way we're having sex, and I don't really care.
I used to think it was unromantic, but I'm like, no, this is life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shared
we
Google
schedule
Doc.
everything else.
Yeah.
Why?
You literally put it in a Google Calendar?
Afternoon delight, 4:00, 3:00.
Really?
Yeah, right before
Nice.
they're picking up the kid.
nice.
I get excited now because I'm like, oh, that's just gonna happen.
Right, and you can kind of like play with the idea in your head and have a little bit of foreplay, like mental foreplay. Like it is cool.
Yeah,
Like it's
I,
not.
I used to think like I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's
Yeah,
so
people think that
unromantic.
sex has to be so sporadic all the time, but I'm like, we schedule everything else, and that doesn't take away the joy of it. So, I mean, both can be
when
fun.
you're a parent, there's so many other things to do before that.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting pushed to the bottom, and then by the time you have time for it, you're just exhausted.
yeah,
So to move that up, you got to schedule that shit.
yeah, totally.
Also
Totally.
another reason not to have a kid. But thank
No,
you for
now
offering
I
that
don't
to
want to
the
have a
show.
kid.
No, I'm all about one and done.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
about like I'm done.
Was that conversation you had before you had your one child that it was only going to be one?
Oh
or is that
yeah, She didn't even want kids. I didn't want kids.
Oh.
and no. And then
Best
and then,
time to have them.
And then we had we had a miscarriage. Mm-hmm. And then
You're
and
like,
then a
well,
few
maybe
months
I
later,
do
we really
want
wanted kids.
Yeah,
There's something
you're
about
a great
mis-
kid.
Was the miscarriage after an unplanned pregnancy or a planned?
Yes,
Okay.
unplanned.
So then that experience made you want to have
Yeah,
kids.
something shifts in your
Interesting.
body.
I've heard
I
that
get that.
before.
Yeah,
I totally
got
get that.
emotional. I was crying.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're like, you
Weird.
think of your future totally different, and you think of like this person along with you for the ride, Vanessa, and like whoever your child's going to be, and you're like, wait a second, that sounds nice.
There's also
Yeah.
something about hearing a heartbeat, which makes it real.
Oh,
as
yeah.
opposed to just an idea.
Right, I imagine.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think it was right at the time where you could hear the baby's heartbeat.
Wow, that's gotta
and
be
then,
a wild moment.
And then see it, you
Yeah.
know. And then when that baby died, she was angry at her body, and I was like fucking devastated, like I lost a parent.
yeah, yeah.
And then a few weeks after that, she went on a retreat, and she had this weird knowing. She's like, I want to have a kid. I want to have a kid.
Wow, nice.
And first time, boom.
Wow.
It was almost like her body.
was like, now you can do it.
Yeah, permission.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting.
And then we were on the same page. Done.
Cool. That's great. And your kid's so fucking. She's so sweet.
She's also sassy and
She's great. I mean, I meet a lot of kids, and I mean, I guess my nephew I'm obsessed with. I love him. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
But like when I meet a little girl that's like 7, 8, 9, I'm like,
Yeah.
you're cool.
she's a little Punky Brewster. Which
Yeah.
is-
You don't want a daughter who's not sassy in this wild world.
No.
I know.
Agreed.
She can handle
Agreed.
herself. man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wrote a book, Breakup on Purpose.
Yes.
So why breakups? Why did you want to write about breakups?
Because I think when we think about breakups, we think of just okay, you're going through a breakup. What is there to do? But I think there's different types of breakups. So my way into this book is the 8 different types of breakups, and then what's prescribed is different.
Yeah.
Right? Like a mutual breakup is very different than, say, a divorce where you own property and have custody.
Or just one person wanting to break up and the other person not. That's a whole different set of circumstances.
And then my whole theme is that your breakup can actually be a catalyst for your growth, that after an expired relationship, there's the richest soil for growth.
Yeah. I am always like, I have a Patreon where I'll talk to people. And it's basically like group therapy.
Oh,
in a way.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's interesting because a lot of when people come on and they're like reeling from a breakup, and we all know what that's like. But I'm like, I know this is going to be hard to hear, but I'm kind of secretly really excited for you. Like, this sucks.
Right.
This
What's
pain
on
is
the
bad.
side?
But like, what's ahead, what's around the corner for you is going to be so much better and exciting and thrilling. And we've all had those breakups. Like my 7-year breakup, I was so sad and like devastated, yes, and I was grieving and all that because of 7 years. But I was also like, oh, I'm so excited for whatever the fuck's next because like it's so cool to like not know who you're gonna meet or who you're gonna bond with or connect with. And
also like examining the black box on how the plane went down.
Ooh, tell us more.
Well, what's your part in the expiration? And what can you learn about yourself? What do you want? What do you not want?
Yeah.
It's like we could think about things, but until we actually experience it in our body, we have all these revelations through the 7 years or 3 years or 3 months. And then we're like, okay, now I want what I call a corrective love experience.
Corrective love experience.
Yeah, and I think that's what we should shoot for.
Yeah.
Convincing our body, not our mind, that this is possible.
Yeah.
And that's more valuable too, because I think people are often looking back, like, what could I have done differently in that past relationship? And it's like, you just got to come to terms with that relationship is over.
Yeah.
And it's like, what changes can you make moving forward in your next relationship?
Yeah.
Have you ever had an explosive breakup?
Yes, I call it the Telemundo soap opera.
Yes, tell us.
I wrote notes because all my tattoos are words. See this? I wrote notes, but I might say something that doesn't make any sense. We're trying to read my chicken scratches. The explosive breakup is a 1-2 punch because if it's explosive, like if people are slashing tires and doing toxic shit and like outside your door, it's very telling of the relationship, how it was.
Yeah.
Right? And so not only are you going through a broken heart, but you're also now worried about your safety.
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
And then
safety.
the drama and the friend, like all that shit.
Yeah, that sucks. Because then you're grieving. But sometimes, like, anger, that 7-year relationship I mentioned, like, he didn't do anything wrong. It ran its course. And I'm like, oh, these certain qualities about you, I can't, I can't take it.
Was it mutual? Did he
no,
also?
it wasn't.
Yeah,
and he did sue Corinne and I afterwards. And
Sue?
so,
Don't you love when your friend breaks up and then you get sued and you go, I didn't even like you the whole time.
Wait, are you literally sued, or are you guys using it as a...
No, literally
sued.
sued for money, John.
6 figures, baby.
No way.
Yeah, because that
we
one
fought
sided
it
breakup.
and we didn't pay the money, but I mean, it was a fucking law.
Wait, on
lawsuit.
what? That he helped you guys build your careers?
Well, that's what he was trying to say. And
Were you with your agent?
yeah, well, there was a point where we got kicked off our podcast network, early days of Guys We Fucked, and then we were, he was a director and a film editor and stuff.
so
He was really savvy. He was really good at his job.
Yeah.
Like, he was really good at like carving
got
together a
it.
story. So he edited the podcast for years and years and years.
Oh,
and
he was
then
part of the podcast,
but then when the podcast first started, he very famously said to a friend of ours that is now only my friend, and I won her in the breakup, of like, Steven thought that like this idea was so dumb, Guys We Fucked, and like and then when you started making it, he was like, I knew you would succeed. I'm like, fuck that, dude. Fuck that.
he
Like,
sued you guys.
a one-sided breakup can bring out the absolute worst in people. And it's certainly, I mean, I'm talking shit about him, but I have certainly acted like
too.
an absolute asshole, so immature, so angry. I mean, it was my younger years, but like, still, like, it can bring out a nasty side of you that like I was even shocked by.
I think it's helpful though. I actually, when I break up with someone, I like when they do a big move, because then that makes
the
it
right choice.
so much easier for me to forget about them and move on. When someone takes a breakup well, and I'm not sure because it's never happened, but in my head, when they take it well, like, then I'm going to miss them more.
And you're like,
Totally.
shit, did I make the right move?
Right, because then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, wow, like I want to go this direction with the relationship, and your reaction was really nice.
Yeah.
Their reaction is telling and reinforces the expiration.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was the craziest you've ever been in a breakup?
The craziest. So I did something that I wish I didn't, and that was So I was with someone for 3 years. This was the squirter.
Okay.
God, I shouldn't say that. That's not cool.
No. This is a sex podcast.
I know, but
Sometimes
this is
we
like
have guys
on
in our
air.
phone as like
Yeah.
Big Dick Harry or whatever.
I'm just
back
trying
in
to
the
be
day.
funny, everyone. So I don't want her to hear this and be like, that's all I was to you.
Oh, God. I think if you're with someone for 3 years, I mean,
She was amazing.
you have to be more than that.
She was amazing.
True.
A beautiful human artist. She was much more than that. But also, I also love that about her. Taught me a lot of things.
Sexual awakening. It sounds
Yes.
like
Like it opened your
experience.
eyes.
She was my Vision Quest. You guys remember Vision Quest?
No.
Yes.
What's that?
80s movie.
Yeah.
Wrestler, and then the girl lives at his house, and he's like,
I know what it is. I don't remember if I've ever seen the whole thing, but I know,
Yeah.
I know your reference.
yeah, or Weird Science maybe, or I don't know.
Oh yeah. Either way, experiencing something sexual that's new for the first time with another person, it bonds you.
Yes.
It totally bonds you.
God. You know, sometimes you're on a podcast and you just speak because you're in the moment and you forget you're being recorded.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like literally every day of our
Story of
lives.
my life.
Yeah.
It's
We
happening.
talk way too much.
It's
all the
happening
time.
now.
Yeah.
So 3 years, what I call the flat soda breakup, meaning it just kind of faded. We both looked, we're at a bar, we looked at each other, we're like, things have changed.
Oh, at the same time?
Same time. I mean,
that's
not like Jinx, but
right.
Yeah.
How great would that have
Yo,
been,
that
though?
would
That's
have
the
been-
ideal scenario.
Yeah.
When they're both like, I think this is over. Yay, see ya.
no, but if you did it at the same time, you realize, holy shit, we're so in sync.
Maybe we should
gotta
stay together.
Exactly.
Aw.
But we had that moment, and then within we did no work. I should have said, let's get into couples counseling. Let's put effort into it. Let's try to, coal in the fire, schedule sex. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, with her, I didn't have schedule. Anyway,
Why should you have done that though?
because I think we have a responsibility to leave knowing you did everything you could. Unless it's toxic.
Unless
unless
Really?
it's-
When,
But
even
what
when
if
you're
you
just
just-
dating, like even if it's you can't just
no,
agree that
it was
it's
3
fizzled?
years. It was 3 years.
No, I know, but I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's.
You
I'm
could
saying
still fall out of
I'm
love.
saying not married. Yeah, because to me, like the difference between dating someone and being married to someone is what you just explained, that you have a
Yeah.
commitment to do everything you can. But I don't think you have that commitment.
I
in
think maybe
dating.
when she squirted, you were like, this is more serious than I thought.
Yeah.
Like, because that could have made honestly made an impression on you. I think men kind of fall for, like, sometimes men fall for the women they sleep with more than the women fall for the men they sleep with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've kind of been clued onto that when we first started doing the podcast. I'm like, wait, do men catch feelings like more than women? I don't think that's true
on
either.
average,
know.
men say "I love you" after I believe it's like 69 days, where it takes women like
69.
much more. Of course, women many more months than that.
That makes sense.
To like actually feel
Except for me.
it. Yeah.
That's really helpful, and I think because I'm a therapist, I'm very hard on myself on what you should do and what is responsible.
Yeah.
So after we had that announcement, within a week or two, I was on Craigslist. I found this really amazing place in Los Feliz, and I just moved out.
Yeah.
I didn't really do anything. I just left.
Oh,
Okay.
you didn't say I'm leaving?
No, of course.
Okay,
of course.
okay,
Yeah,
cool,
we did
cool,
the
cool.
hug, we cried and all that, but I didn't put any work back into the relationship.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I met someone. It was way too fast.
Crazy. I've
person
never heard
I-
a straight man.
A guy met
telling
someone right
story where he
away.
just meets a woman.
And then she was like, oh, no, you're sad from that breakup? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Unprecedented.
suck your dick.
I met the person, and she was a mutual friend.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. I'm sure
She
your
was
ex
right.
loved
She was
compounded.
that.
She was right there.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Yeah, we were on the beach in Malibu, and I blamed it on the moon, but we kissed, and then
She was in the vicinity. You don't
Yeah.
say.
Oh, no.
and so that happened, and then it was like, oh, you fucking cheated on me, and then all this.
Oh,
It's
she
like,
thought, well,
I mean, it was so fast.
it wasn't cheating, but it was like, and it was her friend.
No, but
it was a
it-
mutual
It
friend.
was. She was more my friend than hers, but yes,
Okay,
mutual,
but
mutual.
still, like, she would probably be like, the whole time were you like this?
Yes,
You know, all those
yes,
things.
and I get that, because it's like, dude,
Yeah.
a week out.
It wasn't cheating, but it was so fast it felt like it.
Men move on so quickly, it is very hurtful. Even if you wanted the relationship
That's
to
not
end,
my
man.
style. That was the first time I did that.
Oh, okay.
And then felt shitty about it. And so here was my punishment. This is how the universe works.
Yay.
So I was with this person. I got a lot of approval. It was also like, I felt validated. I felt like the cool girl liked me. I felt like there's something I was getting from this new person that was deeper than just.
Oh, okay. She was there.
Yeah, I felt picked.
Okay, got it.
So that was happening.
So he's hitting two guys we fuck tropes here in the
Yeah.
vicinity and how she
And
makes
wants
me feel.
Yeah.
So I was in that, and then also the person that the relationship I ended with, she was going through a downward. She had a lot of trauma in her life, and so
Was she like realizing it for the first time? Or?
No, it activated so much that she wasn't like, she went, from what I was hearing from friends. It's like,
oh, this is your ex.
Yeah, John, she's not doing well. You better go see her. And then my therapist was like, just draw boundaries. So I was caught in between this. And then she was saying, you're done with her. That's not, are you in
Jesus.
this? And I was just being pulled
tricky.
left and right. And I had a fucking panic attack. It was the first time in my life I had a panic attack.
Oh, wow. First time.
And then I broke.
He heard 2 women, then he had the panic attack.
That's what it took. It took 2 women. All right, guys, thank you for having me. My book is called Breakup on Purpose. I'll be...
This is good. Listen, male therapists are still men.
Well, men have a hard time dealing with women's feelings.
I'm just coming here to promote my book.
No, I know. Well, you can't. You're in the hot seat. Sorry.
12 hours from Los Angeles.
No, but you're hitting on like a thing that men do. It's society, man. It's not just you. It's not just you. It's not your fault. But like,
and you've evolved.
No, but I'm saying that. No, I'm saying that that's all that is bad. I shouldn't have done it. I feel shitty. I'm not saying that happened, and I don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah, of course you give a fuck.
That's something I
Yeah.
feel really bad for it. I wish I would have handled that whole thing differently.
Yeah.
Was the moving on fast also like a coping mechanism for you though?
That's why
maybe
that's why we do it. That's why
I just threw you a rope.
I mean, the second I'm like, oh, we're breaking up, I'm willing a crush on whoever's near me. I mean, I am like,
because it helps.
It helps tremendously.
It helps, but it helps until it doesn't, because it helps for a little bit, and then it
can't be a distraction.
Eventually, you still have to process the feelings from the breakup.
Yes,
so it'll catch up with you eventually.
Like that 7-year relationship. When I ended it, I was super sad at first, but then I was fucking all these people, and I'm like, this is the best time of my entire life.
But
I'm so happy.
How much time went by before you started to
cry?
No, fuck other people.
Oh, immediately. No. I started fucking other people immediately.
Oh my God, okay.
And I was so excited to fuck other people. It would have been so long. There was people that I've been eyeing for years. The best sex of my life is with the person that you've had a crush on and have wondered about, and they're like, I'm single too, and I totally think you're hot. You're very disappointed,
or you're like, you don't.
That happened to me once, but I kind of had an inkling like this isn't going to be good. But there was 2 people in particular that I had the wildest sex of my life with right after that breakup. But then I processed how sad it was and not good.
What makes it wild?
The feeling that this person gives you, like,
right. So
like the amount of real estate they take up in your mind, what it does to your body thinking about them touching you,
the foreplay, the mental. Yeah, we're not talking about like techniques or mops
no.
or wiping the floor. We're talking about
No, just like the feeling, like this is sexy. Like you're not desperate, you're not pouty, you're not like all of these things. Like you are a man to me. Like fucking take me, that kind of
anticipation.
Totally,
foreplay.
And they still have good press because you don't know them that well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where I dropped the ball, and that's one thing that I wish I would have handled differently for sure.
Yeah. Is she okay? Your ex? Like, did you end up following up with her?
We don't talk to each other. I'm sure she hates me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing about the whole breakup thing is the breakup residue.
Sometimes they demonize you because it's for their healing.
Yeah, I'm not friends with. I wish I was. I'm not friends with any of my exes. Are you guys friends with your exes?
No, I've never talked to any of like. There's one that's the one guy that's super sweet, but like, when I'm done with somebody, I'm done forever.
Well, I don't have to be like in their life, but I would.
I don't even want to text with them.
I would love to sit down with every single one.
Yeah,
and just kind of make amends. I would love to do that. Yeah. Well, this is not going to help.
That's why we did this podcast seriously, because
that's the origin story of the show.
Some of the guys that we interviewed in the early years of like guys I fucked, like Nico.
They came on the podcast.
Yeah, we literally interviewed guys we fucked. I mean, that's how it started. So far out that we run out of guys.
Can
we send an invitation to my ex-wife, the squirter? No,
if you want to come on and we can mediate for sure.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would actually be really interesting.
It's always so interesting too, because they're so wrapped up in their reality of what's happening, and you're so wrapped up in yours, but their reactions affect you and vice versa. And it's just like, I think a lot of hurt can happen, especially post-breakup, when it's heated or it's one-sided, or somebody does something like, oh, you're fucking my friend or whatever, that you could just build this narrative to like help you feel better, but it's really more damaging in the long run in a way.
Yes, and you got to respect boundaries.
Yeah.
I've learned for sure.
Yeah. And also too, like being comfortable with the truth. Like, I don't know, like you were end up hooking up with somebody who was a mutual friend that was more your friend, but like, okay, like just because you don't like that doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of layers to that.
Yes, she was peripherally the hot girl in kind of the yoga wellness world. I actually had no intentions, and she was just a friend. But I think underneath what was happening was
A boner.
or the freshman who had a shot at the
Cheerleader.
Yeah,
prom
I've
queen
dated a
thing.
couple
Oh, yeah.
guys.
She was like healing something. Yeah.
Women
Yes,
don't.
she
I don't
was
think
healing an insecurity wound in me.
Yeah, I get that. Straight women don't usually date a guy that's like a trophy, but I've done it every once in a while. I'll do it, and it does feel good.
But what would be a trophy to straight women?
I don't know, like somebody that but honestly, my boyfriend now, like he was always a trophy to me when I was, and that's why probably the beginning of our dynamic was a little toxic because I treated him as this trophy, and that's not good. That's not.
But
I'm
trophy
not acting,
based on
like he's
success in
handsome,
career?
he's very
Okay.
charismatic, he's a singer for a
Yeah,
living, he's
yeah.
super charming, he's beloved by his community.
Oh, when
all
I
this
think
stuff.
trophy for straight women, I only think looks. But yeah, I guess it could be career too. Yeah.
like a famous person or whatever,
Yeah.
and it does feel good to date a trophy. So I'm like, oh, I totally get why guys I see the smile in a male comedian's eyes as he brings along this chick that's way out of his league,
Yeah.
but that's like adoring him. I'm like, I get that. Like, good for you.
Yeah.
So there's some value in that.
Vanessa's my trophy. You know what? She's not my
She's
trophy.
she's a badass.
So she's not my trophy. She's my she's like a vase on my mantelpiece. That's very precious, as opposed to like a trophy
Right.
that
Like something a piece of memorabilia, a collectible that you actually care about, not
Rare,
just something
unique.
A trophy to me, the difference
Yeah.
between a trophy and like a vase is like a trophy is for other people more than it is for you.
Totally.
Whereas the
It's for your
vase is
ego.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something you cherish and you appreciate.
Also,
Yes.
too, like I think the real trust fall in a relationship is like when you see somebody go through life after you've been with them for a while and how they handle things. Like that's why I'm so drawn to your wife because I'm like how you talk about certain situations. Like you just come at it with this calmness that's so cool and like feels like really human and like you're not afraid of like talking about certain things. I don't know. She has a very unique energy to her that is really appealing.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah. She's amazing.
I agree. I think mindfulness, yoga, Buddhism, depth psychology, all of that makes sense.
Sure,
to that.
her level of consciousness is very high.
Yeah, I just CrossFit and ride a motorcycle, and
Which also,
barely
like-
passed the test.
Yeah. Which is also like
practiced
therapeutic.
I mean, I don't know. I went to the ITT Tech of therapy schools, but she went to Pacifica, which is like the fancy.
Is that a good one?
It's depth psychology, Union. Like it's a lot of
the creme de la creme.
Yeah, I went.
nice.
I was in Encino.
Okay. I mean,
Hey, I feel really bad about the squirting comment. I gotta say.
oh really?
Yes, and let me just say, I think it's disrespectful. So yeah, I just want to apologize.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about it, and because as we're talking, I'm thinking about her and her feelings, and that
Right.
she was more than that. I
There was
think
a lot of depth to your relationship.
yeah, and I said that to be funny and also to match you guys where you're at and the show and the theme, and I don't want to.
Comedy that does in fact take a professional, even though people don't think that it does.
Honestly, this is more on brand with our theme of like kind of like owning like, oh, I didn't feel right about that. Like
I don't feel right about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep it inside. And also, if she was on a podcast and talking about me and she said
You would
something
feel
very
hurt.
personal about me,
Yeah.
like if she called me a 2-pump chump or something, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and that was the identity she gave me, but it was funny in the moment for that,
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's
Also,
Yeah.
too, like I've had people talk bad about me on podcasts before, and I'm like, well, and it's up to me to go use my discernment. Was I behaving poorly? Like, did I deserve
Yeah.
that? Well, that's a humble little pill you got to swallow, Krystyna. Or are they just hurt? Or they? But yeah, I totally
Yeah.
get it. Like,
That's
I've,
not cool, yeah.
I've said things on my show about men I've slept with or have dated or have been madly in love with that were absolutely disrespectful. It was just because I was one, I was hurt, but two, it was probably just like, yeah, just trying to be punchy with what you say.
I
don't
retract
know.
nothing I've said about any of the men.
Hell yeah.
You know, some other people perhaps. No one I've dated. In fact, I was too nice about some of them.
Yeah. Have you had what's been like your favorite breakup that you've had?
Okay, so the most painful was the divorce.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also the
Because
most,
it was a divorce, or because of
Oh my God,
of the like high level of
she
it.
was the trophy,
oh, the
Oh,
divorce.
she was a trophy.
not
Yeah.
the vase, but the trophy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Was she a
was
hottie?
Stunning, model actress, LA.
Yeah.
I was invisible. I was only known as her husband.
Oh,
I
got
kind
it.
of put her on a pedestal, had
Yeah.
no life. Like, who needs friends? We have each other.
Oh,
Codependency,
been there, John.
enmeshment. All I
Yeah,
cared about
yeah.
was her. Lost myself.
And then you get resentful towards her, but then it's you doing it. It's so confusing, man.
Yeah. We went to Comic-Con once, and it was like a 2-hour ride, and the limousine driver was like, "Oh, I thought you were her agent."
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
racist
That's rude.
piece of shit.
That's fucking so rude.
I'm her agent, not her agent.
Oh, she was
should
white.
said that.
Okay.
He just assumed that, she was white, blonde,
okay.
white. And he assumed partly because I'm Asian, but also he probably assumed, there would be no way that he could get her kind of thing.
Right.
Or maybe that's my
annoying.
insecurity.
Or maybe he was
being-
reading your energy, and it was
maybe.
not romantic.
Maybe.
It was professional.
I don't know. I felt that.
What were you dressed up as?
Well, I had a
you dressed
suit
up?
and tie and I had contracts. No. We were making love in the back seat, which would make sense
Really?
in Hollywood. That'd be her agent.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's
That's true.
No, we
Hollywood's
were.
a
No,
fucked up
we're
place.
just
Being
passengers.
regular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's probably me projecting my 80s.
Yeah, if somebody
racism
hits on a
stuff.
truth that you're nervous about or you wonder if it's true, that's always
Sure.
going to hit
Yeah.
super hard. But if you
Yeah.
weren't even insecure about that to begin with, it's going to roll over your shoulder. That's how I can always tell how I feel about things.
Also, if he was really racist, would he announce that? He would have just
some
kept it to
some
himself.
some racists
Accidentally.
they accidentally or not. You know?
I think that that's also like like it's one of those like racist tropes that like he put you in a position of power so he doesn't interpret it as racist. You know, he's like, oh, he's Asian, he's smart, he has a good job, kind of a thing. You know, like
That can't be
like
racist.
positive racism.
Oh,
you
right.
know?
An agent is supposed to the mechanic.
An assistant or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is- right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the big one. And because I had no life, because my life was her, once we broke up, I had nothing. I had no, no friends, no money. I had nothing.
That's the thing when you make the relationship your center of your world.
Yeah.
You want it to work out in this way that you're hugging the puppy too tight and it's going to suffocate.
Yes.
Did that partner particularly like agree that the relationship should end, or was she not on the same page?
No, she left. She left. She wanted a separate. She was on a movie set, and via Skype had just come out, and so I remember. I remember fascinated by technology. Oh my
Right.
God, you're moving on the computer.
Yeah.
And she said, let's have a separation,
Oh, she just said that.
just a separation.
And that surprised you.
No, I thought to myself, what an opportunity for me to be a man for the first time in my life and give her what she wants without question. Okay, I'm going to be a man. What do you need? Space? Great. And she's like, I'm going to be home next week. It's going to be really activating for me. Can you not be in the house? Like, can you just find a place?
Oh, okay.
Again, I should have been suspicious because I didn't think where it was going.
Right.
I didn't even think this is going to lead
But
to...
also, I applaud you on your tactic because a lot of times when a woman says she needs space and a guy's like, okay, it's kind of. I mean, I've been on your ex-wife's end. I'm like, wait, you're just gonna give it to me? Wait, hold on, no, come here. Like, sometimes that does too what you thought it was gonna do.
That did not happen.
Okay.
And then so I got a place, and then she said, "Hey, let's just get a divorce. We'll try it again, but let's just to clean everything up." And then
Oh shit.
and then I was
To
like,
clean everything up.
That's
like
a
to start
wild
brand new.
route.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
just
I mean, I
clean
get
the
it. That's
canvas.
expensive
Oh,
control.
maybe that's why
delete.
people
Yeah.
get remarried to the same person again because they
those-
feel like it's a restart.
That's how she
people are just-
presented it. Like,
I think those people are fucking
let's get a divorce so
wild.
we can get
Yeah.
married again.
That's
right.
like Liz Taylor behavior.
But then, like the smartest
Tyler,
person on
yeah.
relationships, Esther Perel, has been married multiple times to the same person, which I think is so interesting because she.
Yeah, that
I-
also makes me question everything that she's ever said.
I know, but like
That's
I
wild.
listen to her podcast every week, and there's very few that I listen to every week, and I'm like, she did it again. She's so
Yeah, she learned from
intuitive and
fucking
smart.
up 80,000 times.
Yeah, that will teach you stuff.
I think so.
So you thought, okay, this is
So-
being presented to me as like
Yes. And then so we got the divorce.
fresh start,
And then that was it. And then,
and then
all right.
you stayed divorced.
Then we stayed divorced.
And you're like, what the fuck?
It's like, oh my God, I got tricked.
no.
I should have known better. I mean, obviously,
But like, I mean,
Yeah.
did you feel it doesn't sound, if she's a trophy, it doesn't seem like this is like your right match. Like you felt like deeply understood by her or something.
But I think there's a control
Right?
issue with the trophy thing of like, no, but I want it. That like is tough.
there's something called secondary loss, which is a huge thing with breakups where it's not even about just the relationship, but also what could have been.
Yeah, and what the relationship
house,
meant to you
what
in
you
terms
built,
of
the
society.
baby names, the picket fence. And so with her, she was my wife. I'm going to be with her for the rest of my life. And I've already started to fantasize about this future, 2 kids in Hollywood, and she would do this, and I would write screenplays and all this kind of stuff.
Right,
And
right.
so when the divorce happened, I not only lost a marriage, I lost all of it.
Yeah.
And who you were. Oh,
And
boy, that's
the
tough.
daughter I was gonna,
Identity.
put in my vintage truck and eat pancakes with on
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. And
Yeah.
how long, how did you, what was the grief like for that?
Oh, fucking horrible.
What'd you do? Like, I like
my
when people
God,
talk,
horrible.
like, when I was grieving, I grieve relationships pretty hard, but I mainly grieved like the loss of my parent relationships, like really bad, just sloppy, just fucking drooling, just, you look like a barnyard animal. Just
Crying so hard you can't breathe.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of George Michael songs.
Oh, yeah.
And
I love George Michael.
not knowing what to do. And then I was like, I didn't have a job. I wasn't a therapist yet.
Fuck, yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna buy a motorcycle. I've never bought a motorcycle before. I have this time before someone says no again. So I went and bought a
That's the
motorcycle.
spirit.
And then I was eating frozen yogurt, feeling sorry for myself. And right next door there was this weird kind of like gym. CrossFit was brand new, like
Okay.
monkey bars and shit. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? I strolled in there, and then I got into that community, and that was kind of the vine that pulled me out of the quicksand. So I had somewhere
Nice.
to go. And I was just riding my motorcycle all over LA, and then I slowly started making friends. And
A
I
new
went to-
hobby and a new community. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
great. And I think that's also
Yes.
something that
Yes.
women do often
well.
a lot better than men.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear a story about a man, like kind of, even though it seemed, perhaps accidental, you still found solace in community.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
and,
yeah,
you, and you
100%.
gravitated towards things that felt better for you. And it
Out
didn't
of my
seem like
head,
they
out
were
of my
toxic.
house was the prescription.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
So-
that.
That's so
Yes.
great because
Yeah.
you do get tired of like you get tired of feeling bad for yourself. You get tired of being like you're like
tired of crying
Just
and just sitting
annoying.
there. You're like, exactly. You're like, what the fuck am I doing?
which is great. That's a great turning point when you're sick of yourself. You're like, all right, I will switch today. Like
A
and
lot
it's
of
kind of
men,
seamless.
a lot of men don't pull out of that. A lot of men,
Tell me about it,
they
man.
go dark.
They go-
Yeah,
they
and
go
they
to
get
internet.
Why am I even
mopey.
alive? Yeah.
But then sometimes
They go
and
to,
I
they
don't,
go,
I'm not
they go
trying to
watch
blame
Kill
women.
Tony on YouTube.
Sometimes the women, and I've certainly been guilty of being this type of woman. So I shit on you, but I'm also shitting on myself. Of like they want to rescue the sad guy that's reeling from a breakup.
Oh God, yeah, that's something that I got over after my 20s. And I wasn't like the sad. I never liked the sad guy who just got out of a relationship because I don't want to hear about anybody
did
else.
I.
But just like a sad guy in general,
Yeah.
like this obsession with like the sad guy, the emo boy. It's like fix that on your own time. I don't
Yeah.
like a sad boy anymore.
pussy dryer.
I'm done.
But
I'm
before
over it.
it was because it gave you worth, or
Well,
you saved him, or
no,
what?
it's because it's because I think we misconstrue
good
like
for-
a sad boy with being an emotionally intelligent boy.
Totally.
right.
When you're in your 20s, it's
And you-
easy
like
to
the
conflate.
musician, the guy with the guitar.
Being
the
emotional
CEO.
and being emotionally intelligent are two very
Yes.
different things. And a
Yes,
big part
yes,
of emotional intelligence is knowing when it is socially appropriate to show certain emotions.
Yes.
And that was something I
Natural.
learned the hard way.
Yes,
Yeah.
emotional can be what we were talking about before. Pouty.
Yeah. Oh,
Can-
100%.
can be a man child.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Emotional
Yep.
intelligence is actually self-soothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
in
refraining,
parenting.
like there's this quote from a book, I forget what book it was, but it's like I think it's a bravery. Being brave is a lot of it is refraining. Refraining from allowing yourself to be emotional, or refraining from like being all over the place. And just
Responding
kind of like,
instead of reacting, I
Yeah.
think is a great divide.
And
that-
also, like when you're an adult,
both of them.
I do feel like you should be able to like not that you don't cry or you don't or you don't have a breakdown, but like you should kind of be able to press pause on it and be like, I'm gonna have a breakdown about this, but I'm gonna have it in 3 hours when I'm home from work.
Yeah.
like that to me
Yeah.
is being an adult who
Yeah.
like has emotional intelligence. It's not like I don't react to things, but like there is like a time and a place, and it's not any time and any place.
right.
and
It requires reps.
yeah,
Discernment.
So,
exactly.
yeah, you have to practice.
yeah, and not emotionally just bleed over everybody.
Yes,
Yeah,
vomiting
and
over
that's
people.
trial and error, baby.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
So do you have like breakup advice that you always give to everyone? Is there like one thing, or are you always giving like these kind of 8 different prescriptions depending on the type of breakup, or is there something that you think is valuable for anyone going
Yeah,
through a
so
breakup?
broad strokes. One,
Yeah.
I think it's okay to numb, quote unquote, consciously.
Okay.
Ooh, I like
Because I
this.
What
think
does
a lot
that
of-
look like?
That looks like allowing, okay, so one donut can be self-care.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
dozen donuts is
yeah,
self-hate. So like, you have to-
Yeah, totally.
So if you need a few weeks to lock the door, send people to voicemail,
Yeah.
and cry and eat and, have, a red Cheeto stained fingers and all, that's okay. I think that's something working through you. That can be solitude.
Yeah.
Now, if that turns into 3 months,
Yeah.
now
And
you're
fucking up your commitments and
Yes.
and also I think you do have and I've done this not in the right way. You have a responsibility to tell people where you're at
Yeah, 'cause
mentally.
they're worried about you.
Yeah, but also too like, hey, I'm not able to be present for this thing. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna try my best, but like I'm dying inside, so I just want to let you know now. And like that's always nice when people give you a heads up.
Yeah. And then my mantra is out of my house, out of my head. So every day I would be like, I'm going to say no to nothing. Because I'm an introvert. I just fucking went.
Yeah.
And a lot of those times that you go are like, they turn into the Harold and Kumar adventure. Like they're like the best times, right?
Yeah.
And then
a walk, man. A walk can fix stuff.
A walk. Well, in New York, maybe not in LA. You get shot in LA.
guess so.
Yeah.
Shot?
Just people don't walk in LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like walking in LA because no one else is walking.
No one else is walking.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's nice.
So out of your house, out of your head, have smart feet. So just get to the thing.
Oh, totally.
Just have smart feet. Just go. And so I did that to class. I did that to have coffee with friends.
Yeah.
And I just did. And then once you get there, that structure makes it safe. It's a container that you pour yourself into, and it carries you.
What do you now? We've all heard. Corinne and I've gotten emails about this type of friend that like has gone through a breakup, and it could be both men and women, and they just won't shut the fuck up about it, frankly. But they're reeling. Like if you take a step back, you're like, well, you're still like you're just as scarred as you were 5 months ago.
Yeah, that's hard.
And like what is that? Like I know there's not a one size fits all. This is what's happening with you, but like. If you're the friend, how do you gently handle that without making it worse for them?
Yeah, I would say I want to be there for you. What do you need from me? But I don't think I have the tools. You should talk to a therapist about this.
Yeah.
They could help you better. So
Right.
I present it in a way where it's like, you need someone better than me.
Yeah.
Not, I'm sick of hearing this shit.
Yeah.
The thing is, though,
Some people want to dump though.
it's very hard, and it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a stigma on it, but it's very hard to say you need therapy without it coming across as an insult.
Yes.
Well, maybe
I wouldn't
you
say you
need therapy.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
like
This would be an excellent issue for therapists.
Anytime there's really, I've found no way to give or receive that doesn't feel
Really?
offensive. Yeah, and it's like, yeah.
So
maybe because we talk about it so much that it's so
Like the-
normal.
the-
for us.
Yeah, I mean, going to therapy. I mean, it's a little less now than maybe like 10 years ago. When someone said it to me, but and also it wasn't the solution at the time because I had those therapy tools that I would have gotten from the therapist are tools I had. I mean, we started Guys We Fucked was what healed it. For me, it was a creative outlet.
Right.
But I don't have an answer. So it's a question that I don't have an answer for. But yeah, I mean, I think like, how do you say like, I want you to get help from a professional without it seeming like, saying like, you're broken, fix this. Because that's how it comes across to most people, especially when they're in this vulnerable place.
I think you have to say, how can I help you? And then you have to let them know what you can do and what you can't. So if they're like, can you come over to my house every day and let me vent on you? You're like, I have
That's
a
not
life.
gonna work, dog. Yeah,
But
yeah.
how can I help you? How can I support you?
Yeah.
Is probably the best way where they feel loved.
Yeah.
And then it's like, maybe you should talk to someone. If you could slip it in,
I think also like maybe like if someone's really broken and having trouble doing easy things, like I wouldn't recommend this for like women doing this for men because I think we do too much of this. But like if it's a friend, especially a female friend, like helping them find a therapist.
Yeah.
That's like an active thing that you can do because sometimes that just that feels so heavy.
An easy way in is, hey, I know this person.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So like
I've
that's very
talked to
different
her,
than go see a therapist.
For sure.
Totally.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
And it's also easier. It's easier to prescribe therapy when you yourself have gone through it. It's like when people who haven't been to therapy themselves are telling you to go to therapy, that's like a little crazy.
Yeah.
There's also this thing, breakups are so interesting to me because it's the most intense pain and feelings, but then it's the least permanent. When somebody dies, that's permanent. When somebody like a friend breakup is just gut wrenching, and that's that hits for a while. But like this breakup pain, like can be very. It's just crazy how you move on, and you like you're like I don't even remember what it was like to be hurt by you.
It's because love is so potent.
Yeah,
It's so, you know what I'm saying?
It totally
it's so
is.
explosive. It's so life or death. It's so.
It does feel very life or death.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
but there's always interesting, like I always look back on my relationships of like the times that I thought, should I break up with this person? That like were totally, literally just fleeting, like didn't have anything to do, and we would break up way later down the road. And that was like a fleeting thing. But like, yeah, I think sometimes people are like, sometimes we've gotten emails of like, should I break up with them? Like that feeling crossed my mind. So does that mean I should give it merit? And it's like, your brain is just, there's a typewriter in your head that doesn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, of
you
course.
could either decide to cling to those thoughts or not, but those thoughts aren't you.
I think about breaking up with people like 8 times a day.
Yeah, I don't think about it 8 times a day, but I do think about like, I don't know, and maybe it's a protective wall of like, well, if we broke up, I would be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and you're trying to see how I would feel and step into that. But like, that doesn't necessarily mean you should break. When do you know if you should break up?
I was going to say, we were
Yeah.
talking, what you guys were talking about, just being human.
Yeah.
I mean, we think about like everything that maybe we shouldn't think about, or
Totally.
should I be with this person? Or,
Sure.
Yeah.
And men, I think too, we've talked about on the show, like men are always like, can I get something? Is there something better out there? Because I think men are more attracted to this trophy idea than women, just because women are more trophies than men, like in a lot of scenarios.
Sure.
So like, so they get to feel that more often. But like,
Unless
men,
you're a firefighter in New York City.
that's true. Well, I don't know though. I went to a firefighter single,
really?
and they are.
All my female
They're not as
friends are
emotionally
like
intelligent as I would hope.
firefighter
I
obsessed. Not
was.
police, but
You're
firefighters.
talking to someone who was.
I was
firefighter.
so like
Yeah.
going past a
Obsessed.
firehouse, like my body would just be like, oh god, like really, it was
And
like
then you went
it
in
was like
one,
a guy
you're
with
like,
tits.
oh, wait a minute.
No, we went in the fire. I went with once with Corinne, and they allowed us on the truck, and I was like, oh, this is so hot.
Yeah, they let
I
us
went
play on the truck.
I went to a singles event though, and the one hot firefighter there, I went up to him and I was like, hey, what's your name? He's like, I ordered a vodka soda, and this bartender's fucking retarded. She gave me a tequila soda. I'm like, nope. We can't have a
And
deep
we're
conversation,
good.
man.
And we're good.
I want to
Well-
have deep convos.
Well, the psychology behind firefighter. I mean, yes, I get it. They're attractive. A lot of them are, but it's that
They're brave.
yes, as opposed to say police officers, where then you think because there's brave police officers.
Sure.
but you think like
Yes.
they're arrogant, they're controlling, they're
Sure. Yeah,
abusive.
their brand,
Those
police
are the
officers' branding has been fucked.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
by the awful police officers.
firefighters. Their shit's like unstained.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, until you
Polished.
go to a firefighter singles mixer and you're like, oh,
Oh, they're real
You
people.
guys also suck, but you just don't have a job where you have a gun. So
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
fighting fire.
I know,
you
not
know?
people. So it's
Right.
like,
You're like that's
brave,
kind of like cool. That's
Yeah.
like
Saving
a rescuing
cats.
people. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty
it's
sick.
like supernatural.
Yeah,
Their trucks are always sparkling.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, how do you know
When it's time to break
when it's
up.
time to break up?
I think there's no blanket answer. I think it's depends on the individual. If you want something from me, it would be when you start breaking up with yourself.
Ooh,
When you're in
love
something,
that, John.
when you're in something that doesn't
good
feel
answer.
honest, and you're like, I'm not gonna leave the relationships. I'm not gonna leave this relationship, but now you're leaving self, abandoning self.
Yeah, that's such
doing
a
things you don't
lonely,
like to
depressing
do.
feeling.
Yeah, or like
Well,
being someone you're not, like just to be in this relationship.
What happens
What if the thing
though-
that you don't like to do is hanging out with the person that you're dating?
That you should break up for sure, 100%. But what if so when you morph into, and I've been this person that I morph into somebody else in the relationship, but the guy didn't ask that of me.
Yeah.
He's happens to enjoy it because I'm like, let's do everything you want to do. He's not going to go, wait a second, let's hold the phone. Are we doing things that you want to do? Like a guy's not going to do that.
I actually do that though. I've stopped relationships
but you're a
where,
woman.
where people, but I have the masculine energy most times.
That's true.
Where people I can tell they're just doing everything I want to do, and it feels nice until it doesn't, and then it
'cause it's
feels
like,
and then
be
it
a
feels
person of your
boring.
own. Yeah.
and then I literally will stop and go. We're not leaving this house until you tell me what the number one thing you want to do today is.
Yeah.
And I have gotten answers.
Okay, that's good.
And because I think it's important before the relationship gets too far skewed in one direction that you resolve that.
Yes. Well, my question was to you, John, is like when you notice, oh, I'm morphing myself into this other person in this relationship, but you're doing it to yourself. They're not really asking that of you. Can you change? Can you go back from that? Like, can you change course? And how?
Yeah, of course. It's hard.
It's really hard,
It's
yeah.
really hard because that dynamic is so strong and sticky.
Yeah.
It's like when you go home for Thanksgiving and you could be like fucking successful as fuck. You go home,
You feel like a piece of shit.
you're a 15-year-old trying to climb out your window. And
Totally.
mom
You're
is always
hiding your
mom,
weed
right.
smoke and you're
Yeah.
like, I wasn't smoking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the dynamic of that relationship that is so strong.
Yeah.
And I think in a romantic relationship, it can be very strong. So just to even have distance pull away and look at that is like, it's hard.
Yeah, because like there's this thing when you go to heal yourself and like work on trauma if you have it. A lot of times, a lot of people in your life will fall off. They won't like the new you. They won't like the healed you. And I think that we've gotten emails, some really poignant, like kind of gut-wrenching emails of like, the woman, most of the time it's the woman decided to work on herself within the couple, but we kind of individually work on herself, and she's becoming like more assertive and more like just more herself, and it's beautiful, and it's this beautiful unfolding. And the guy doesn't like her for that.
Well, because he's like, that's not what I signed up for.
Right. Which he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but
I'm like, what a heartbreaking thing, man.
No,
you don't
but then,
like me being me.
Right.
Sometimes I think it's putting stress on the other person though, because they're like, now if she's becoming her best self, now that's stress that I have to become my best self, and I don't want to do that.
See that? Like the fact that would ever be stressful on somebody, I'm like, what?
Yeah, but
I can. If you're not fully invested in the relationship, I can understand like not wanting to have to bring 100%.
That's a very good point.
But then the road forks where it's like, oh, she's evolving, growing, wants to be better. I either have to match,
step up,
or she's gonna outgrow me.
Right.
Totally.
And a lot of people bounce.
Yeah, the ex of 7 years, I remember he said to me, like, very early on, you're just going to get famous and leave me. And I was like, I was 24.
Mothman prophecies.
I know. Well, honestly, I was like, what? No, I'm not. Like, oh my God. And that's
they always know
exactly what fucking happened.
Can you imagine at 24, you're like, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
I wish I had that insight. Are you serious? But yeah, it's interesting. Like men maybe don't have as much social encouragement to work on themselves. That's why we love talking to men like you that are like, no, like if you say something that like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Like then talk about that, or like dive into your inner world.
I find that men only have kind of locker rooms. I mean, we're just talking about firefighters. That's a giant locker room.
Totally.
Women go to brunches and fucking talk about everything. There's something look, this podcast is therapeutic.
Totally.
Right? It started from heartbreak and you guys actually having honest conversations. What spaces in this world? I mean, now there are more for men, but men either work?
Yeah.
And their posturing, or locker rooms where it's all about like dick jokes and very competitive.
Yeah. That's
church,
sucks, man.
I don't know where else men would actually have these kind of spaces.
They don't have outlets, but I think men also don't have incentive because women accept garbage men all the time.
Totally.
Less now.
Less,
but it still
you
happens.
would think.
Yeah.
But then I look at the email box and I go, was anyone even fucking listening to this podcast?
Well,
and I throw the
I'll
mic.
tell you what.
These
Most
unimpressive men.
Most of my female clients, single. Before this book, I wrote a book called Single on Purpose. And the reason I wrote that book was because they were done with swipe culture.
Yeah.
They were done with
so bleak.
Like relationships being the only I'd rather be single than being something that's not fulfilling.
Oh,
my
course.
God.
No, but that wasn't the case for our parents.
And I know
Right,
it wasn't.
I know.
It's
And I feel
the
bad
case for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I
still
feel
not the case,
so
but-
bad for people that they're it's like they're in a jail sentence. They're doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's the loneliest feeling is being with somebody and feeling lonely while you're with them is like.
Yes, but there's some people that would rather take that than being single. And
Yeah,
that's
because they
telling them
haven't
where
been
they're at.
shown how beautiful it is to like
Yeah.
have fun with yourself.
Yeah.
And there's also such a stigma from society still. I mean, especially for men too. I think at a certain age, like if I still hear people saying things like, if you're not married, if you haven't been married once by 40, even as a man, like there's something wrong with you. And I go, that's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah. How did you feel after your divorce? Like, was there like a culture, like a society stain on you? Like, or were you like, oh, it happened?
Divorced at 35, salvage now stamped on my forehead. Who's going to want me?
Okay.
I have to start over.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I just had
starting over.
Yeah, so like career-wise, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I think that's why I went and bought a motorcycle. I was like, I'm just going to go buy a toy. I don't know.
Well,
I
if
don't
you're
know
going to start over, that's
Yeah.
going to be exhausting. You're going to have fun. Like, and I think too, that's why people also stay in relationships. Like the idea of starting over just sounds like the idea of just like swiping or going on a first date with someone going, oh, you fucking suck. Like that is.
There was almost a giving up. There was almost a surrendering to old blueprints and where you should be. Because I was like, I'm 35. I don't have the matching BMWs or a kid. I'm not married. I'm now divorced.
Yeah.
I'm starting over. Well, I'm going to give away that blueprint. I'm going to rip it down. I'm just going to now be me.
It's the female equivalent of like, I'm going to just chop my hair off and dye purple or whatever the fuck. Like I just need something.
Or
to
not have a
change.
kid or not get married.
Yeah.
Was your ex-wife financially supporting you as well?
Yeah, she was the breadwinner.
Okay.
So there was also that.
Yeah, because I was
Did
thinking
you not
that.
have a job?
I was trying.
Oh, okay,
I was
okay.
trying to be a screenwriter in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So that's, so you were
I sold
pursuing
two
something
things
though.
and they didn't work out.
You were
Right.
writing though. Writing's a fucking lot of
I went
work.
to film school. I was trying to do it for free. 10 hours a day at Starbucks writing. Like I was trying to
so
do
that's
it.
not nothing.
No, I
That's-
was hustling.
Yeah.
When we were divorcing, as we were divorcing, she booked a series regular on a big TV show.
wow.
Which potentially could have made her financially set for life.
Wow.
And I remember this because I said, this is going to be the defining moment for me where I leave, I take nothing. I just took my pillow.
Yeah.
Because we were technically still married. I could have said that, but I said, we did this together.
Yeah.
You happened to.
You would have been technically entitled to half of her stuff.
For sure. For sure.
That's nice that you didn't do that because that's gotta feel so fucking gross to take money that's not yours that you didn't earn.
Well,
unless you were raising.
She
their,
was like,
their
"This is not
kids.
your money."
Right.
I did not fight it. I said,
Like, you are
whether I
correct.
agree with you or not, I'm going to make a decision for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to look back one day and say,
How did I behave here?
I like that. I did that.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that day to come, by the way.
Well, but you don't feel that? Like,
No, I do.
I would feel really proud of myself.
No, I'm really
like,
proud of myself for that moment.
It's
for
hard
sure.
to not take the bait of anger, even if it's just like, hey, I know this isn't right, but like, I just want to say fuck you to you for whatever reason.
That would have been me
That's enticing.
taking again. That would have been me being childish. That would have
Yeah.
been me. That would have been nipple, not mouth.
Yeah.
And I was like,
The petty and noble move is taking the money and then donating it all to charity. That's the move.
Well, I wasn't thinking like that.
Yeah, that's how you hurt them,
Good
but
thinking,
but you also don't feel dirty with their dirty money.
I wouldn't have had the discipline to do that.
No, I mean it's a crazy hard. It's
Yeah, I
something
wouldn't-
I
I would not
haven't
have-
done it. I'm just I'm pitching it.
because I
If
was
there's anybody
broke.
that could do it out of the three of us, it's you.
I'm
though.
pitching it from a creative perspective.
Yes, from an
because
idea.
because I'm sitting here thinking it's like, yeah, you're right. Like taking people's money from them is really hurtful.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel good. I mean, I'm even paying my taxes doesn't feel good.
Oh, it feels
No.
terrible.
No,
feels
no.
absolutely
Which is
awful.
my business end of year is October 31st, and it is haunting.
Yep.
As
Yep.
the date would suggest.
It's bad. Yep.
You said something that I wanted to insert before I forget.
Yeah.
You said creative expression during
Yeah.
a breakup. So Tumblr was that for me. And so this was it for you guys. Dude, if it wasn't for Tumblr saved my life.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
Creative expression.
It's so valuable.
Fitness, and then something for you, like motorcycle riding for me. So those three things.
Fitness is a great one.
that changed my
Being
life.
in your body takes
Yeah.
you out of your head.
Yeah, of course.
And when you're doing
Exercise.
something like lifting weights or
Yeah,
running,
yeah.
anything that requires balance, a motorcycle requires a lot of your balance. Like you have to use your balancing skills.
Well,
And
also,
so-
it's a meditation machine. It actually calms
Sure,
your
I
nervous
bet.
system. People don't know this. When
Yeah.
you're on a motorcycle, you're actually. So
Oh, that's
Vanessa says
interesting.
you're the most calm and sexy and grounded. I feel you.
Yeah.
And I'm like waiting for her to stay in the bedroom, and she always says,
when you're on your
When
motorcycle.
you're on your bike.
That makes sense. I mean, driving is very therapeutic and you kind of get in this zone. But I mean, imagine like I always love a stick shift car
Yeah,
because you
me
feel
too.
like
Yeah.
you're one with the car.
So
Like,
that's a taste.
but a
of
motorcycle's got to be that times
Oh my God.
1,000,
When
right?
You're naked. You could die.
It's why I've always been like, I'm a piano player, but I always have thought, how cool would it be to play the guitar because you're holding the entire instrument in your hand.
Right.
So it's kind of a part of you. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
But,
so you gravitated towards something that was really healthy for you.
Which I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
These are all things I stumbled on, but
yeah.
they're actually valid tools.
Yeah, and workout is great because yes, it's like all the lovely reasons that you
And you get
said,
snatched.
but also you get
snatched
hot
for the
and
next
post pictures
one.
on Instagram and
Like,
make
I'm
everyone
hotter
else
now.
feel stupid.
It's great being hotter than you were in the relationship that you just left.
That's
It's some of the
100%.
best
It's really the only
women
way
could
to
ever
go.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I
good
could bottle that up,
motivation.
we'd be billionaires.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's a nice dangling carrot.
It's great. Yeah.
What are things not to do in a breakup?
Play
everything you just
back. Yeah. Buy a motorcycle, do CrossFit.
Get hotter, walk by his work.
Play back the highlight reel instead of the documentary.
Oh, great one.
There's a word for this. I read it like years ago and I can never recall it.
bias,
But yeah,
like the-
but it's basically like for when you only remember the good parts.
Yes.
And it's also like. I don't know if it's like a statistic, but yeah, like that's just like naturally what happens. You just naturally remember the good times and not the bad. Is that your body is that your brain like survival mode? Like what is that you're only
think-
remembering the good parts?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a part of us that minimize the bad
Yeah.
and amplify the good.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When we play back the good parts, we're not playing them back from who we are now and what we've learned. We're playing them back from that moment.
versions of
so like
us.
when you go back to school, everything looks bigger. Like where you
Right.
kissed the boy. Look at you're like
Yeah.
those chairs, holy shit.
Right.
Because you're imagining the school when you were 5 in your head. You're
Yeah.
not
and
seeing
the
it as an
gravity
adult.
of what it meant to you at that time.
Yes.
A 5-year-old sees the world as
Yes.
a much bigger place
Yeah.
than a 35-year-old.
So go back to where you kissed. Go back to where you whatever was put in the corner. It's
Yeah.
like tiny.
Yeah.
So when you're playing back the highlight reel, your mind is playing it back and also the feelings and sensation from that moment when you were in love or when it was the first time. It was like that, not now as a wiser person who has more distance. So the highlight reel that you're playing isn't even accurate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I one of the most soothing things for me in a relationship is when I remind myself that I miss a person who doesn't exist anymore. So it's it's not that I don't have this person. This person doesn't exist on the planet anymore. Because so often that's why I broke up with the person, because the person I met ultimately became someone else in the relationship, right? A person that I don't like the way I like that other person, that original person. So I go, I'm missing someone who doesn't exist, and that's much easier to deal with than missing someone who does exist.
Yeah. And so a lot of my clients will spend days playing back the highlight reel, and then they'll trick themselves into thinking, fuck, this was so good. And then they don't play back.
I miss you.
Yeah, they don't play back the moments that, that were bad, or the things that were just, horrible. And then they tell themselves a new story.
It's like the only time we have a positive bias is when it's not serving us.
True.
Because humans always have a negative bias. Like our brain is just so negative biased. But
I think it works when we're thinking about our childhood. That's great.
yeah. You see things not for as they were.
Or like when you went fishing with your dad. It probably wasn't that amazing, but when you're playing it back, it felt so amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that's a slippery well that we all fall into.
Yeah.
And then that's why there's round 2 and then round 3. And it's like, well, if you guys haven't changed.
Yeah.
Like,
meaning you go back to each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's got to be intoxicating. I've never went back to a person, but I can imagine. I almost, because I'm like, no, because you're going to play this dance forever.
Well, because you guys probably have boundaries, and you guys probably have enough self-esteem to feel like there's something better on the other side. A lot of people, they go right back.
Yeah.
Waste another year.
Oof.
Break up. Go wipe it. Yeah.
Wasting time. Oh, that's like the last thing I'd ever want to do.
But I mean,
Trauma
people
bonding.
do sometimes get back together. So, like, what are like? Do you have rules as a therapist
Yes.
if your client wants to get back together with an ex? What are the rules?
Secondary change. It's change that's irreversible. So, not because someone has a better haircut or abs,
Right.
but they actually have internally changed.
How can you tell though until you
You
date
can't
them?
tell.
That's
You can't tell
true.
until you experience
Sometimes
them
you
in the
really
relationship.
don't know. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you have to
Maybe
see
you
their,
date. You say, court me again. If we're both interested in this.
Well, not court me again. Fight me again.
Oh,
You know what
right.
I'm
I see,
saying?
and see how I
Oh
behave.
shit! You didn't throw a chair this time.
Yeah.
Or you're taking ownership. So like these moments where you're like,
Right.
oh, you're different. That could work maybe if two people have went and did some stuff and came back.
Yeah.
You're not as reactive.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have found the thing that actually made the relationship better is they have found their own motivation to change and improve themselves.
Yeah, not for you.
Not
for you.
because it's exactly.
Yeah.
Or because the partner's pushing it on them. Like that's
And so, but
gonna
that
stick.
takes months, maybe years. If
Yeah.
you do a round 2 weeks after, it's just the same thing again.
I mean,
Yeah.
2 weeks after, it's not even. I
Yeah.
mean, what are you, 16?
there's this theory.
Right,
Yeah.
There's this theory that I've heard guys say a lot, but I think it's range true for women too, that the best sex of your life is never going to be a good relationship or never going to be the best relationship. How do you feel about that?
Ooh, tell me more.
Like a lot of times, like the best sex of your life
Yeah.
with the person is usually because there's this crazy electricity that will
Yeah.
not sustain an emotional bond required to have a long-term relationship.
Yeah, it reminds me of trauma bonding. It reminds me
Yeah.
of intermittent love. It
Yeah,
reminds me of the friction of two people who are "I love you, get away," and that's hot.
I know.
The best
That's
sex of my life, though, for me, like, it's not one person. It's certain sexual, like, instances.
Yeah,
like,
fantasies.
like it's not that, like the best sex of my life. It's not consistently always one person. There's this
right.
day this was amazing,
Right,
but also
sure.
this other person that I slept with that was like up to the caliber of. And then like some people that you've had mind blowing sex with, you go back and you have sex with them and you just don't feel the same way about them, and you're like, oh, we used to have mind-blowing sex, but we don't anymore. Like, it's still something that needs to be maintained. Like, for me, there's not a clear winner in my head of who the best sex I ever had was, because there's a couple different instances of it with different people for me.
And the best sex, what defines the best sex for you changes.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yes,
All the time.
Right. Is there a difference between the best sex and the best connection?
Oh, yes, definitely.
A difference?
For me,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you could have the best sex without having the best connection, and you could have the best connection.
And sometimes you have the best sex and you conflate it for the best connection. But like Chris, that guy I dated, he was the first guy I ever dated that was filthy. And I'm like, whoa, what is this?
What is
like,
filthy? Like kinky
just
stuff.
fucking spit on my pussy kind of shit.
Yeah.
Things that I'm like, whoa, I did misters, what are you doing? Like I was very shy and very like, I'm interested in this, but like I don't know about this world. Like you were saying with
But that was a new imprint.
Squirted.
That was yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that
like
was hot
that's
it was new.
that means something, and you're like, but it's something I didn't even know I liked.
Something.
It unlocked something. That's exactly it. It unlocked something, and it sounds like that your ex it unlocked something in you that you're like.
I mean, by the way, the squirting thing was amazing. I loved it.
Well, she gave you a gift.
She gave me, it wasn't a bad thing. It was like, I was like, oh my god.
So the best sex. I mean, I've had a couple guys I can go to in my head, but like this guy in particular, because he was the first person that was just kind of filthy in the best way, in the hottest way. That I'm like, I never want to stop having sex with you ever. I want to always be.
I wonder
your penis
if that would fade.
For sure, it would have. Yeah, we only dated for. I mean, he was cheating on me the whole time with his ex. But damn, that sex was good.
Go take a shower now.
It was so good.
But I also, but also back to the question you asked is like none of the mind-blowing sex I've had was with someone who I had no connection with. There was at least some level of like, we're friends. We hang, like, even if it wasn't like
there's a closeness.
Even if I wasn't in love with the person, like I was pretty close to all of these people and had spent like a good amount of, even if it was like a finite amount of time, it was still like over the course of a couple of weeks, a lot of time, you know, together. It wasn't like none of these were one night stands or guys that I casually dated. Like,
yeah, I think I'm starting to. And listen, I'm older than you guys, so it keeps changing. My palate changes.
Sure.
But I think now for me, good sex is a byproduct of connection, and the connection can be raunchy, hot, sincere. It can be all different types of
so many different types. Yeah.
And then the sex just is going to be organically from that, not like color by numbers. Like, call me daddy, I'm going to tie you
this,
up.
Because that
could also be
Don't
very.
utter those words on our show, John.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding.
That could also be very kind of production, false, like going through the motions.
You're putting on a mask.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like it's fiery inside because it's just, physical.
Have you ever fucked with Tantra?
No, Vanessa and I have been wanting to, but we don't have enough room on our shared calendar.
Yeah. That's my next thing. I really want to. I really want to Well, I have to like educate myself on it first before like you can't just dabble in it. You have to like.
No, but you know what the thing about Tantra is? I mean, I could be wrong, but
apparently you can use sex though and your connection with somebody to like go to higher realms. I'm like,
that's next level.
Let's go.
Yeah, like
really, like how so? What's
it's
the
like
realm?
DMT but sex.
Like different worlds almost.
You can experience.
Like a lot of
like you have a psychedelic experience
yes.
through genital connection.
No, it's not. It's breath. So even breath work.
So breathing through the orgasm.
It's not like which is like
no. I thought it was like this, like when people like just sit with like a penis and a vagina for hours, kind of thing.
Kind of, but there's a lot of breathing involved, and it's just like I've done breath work. Like a lot of breath work exercises can make you cry, can make you emotional, and can certainly induce a psychedelic state. But like Tantra, I think. While you're inducing that state with somebody you love and they're inside you, what?
That's what, and I think it's...
Show me the other side, baby.
Yes, I think it's also the connect, because you're also touching their heart. You're breathing in sync.
Yeah,
and there's there's a lot of like your bodies disappear. I could totally see it. I've had moments like this with Vanessa. I mean, she... the last time we had sex, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I felt like I went somewhere and came back."
That's I've come so hard I blacked out. Is this kind of a thing?
Kind of.
Yeah, but I think
you're connected to the person the whole time. Still a little different.
That stuff I think comes with connection. I don't think you could do that in an alley with a stranger.
No, oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. I see what we're saying.
It's vulnerability. It's like eye contact for 5 minutes, and it's like deeper. You leave your body, kind of thing.
Yeah. With each other, though. What?
So Sting does this stuff for 12 hours.
I've heard.
But here's the thing.
Yes, he's like I feel like he's the only example of someone who actually has done tantric sex.
Well, he has a lot of time. He has a lot of time and money.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's for the privileged.
And then men could have orgasms without orgasming multiple times.
Which sounds crazy.
Amazing. Yeah,
that sounds so fun.
Someone needs to invent a tantra pill where just. We can do it in half an hour.
I think the time invested is part of it.
It's like yoga. It takes time. It's like
when you go on a run. I don't know if you run, but like I'll go on runs for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, fuck. Like at the beginning of the run, you're like, this sucks. I hate it.
After you,
when you're done, you're like, that was the best decision I've ever made.
I literally don't think I've ever run for an hour and a half in my entire life. I've done an hour. An hour and a half.
You just get in, but again, that's why I like running.
It's mind over matter, of course.
Yeah, but then you get in this other zone that you're like, whoa, I don't know what plane of you're on. You're in the plane of reality.
So you hit flow state. It's
and you're like, You forget that you ran. So
Yes,
you're not thinking
yes.
of how far have I run? Am I almost done?
Right.
That is, you don't even know time exists.
You're out of your body.
It's crazy.
So there's a moment when you're riding a motorcycle, maybe hugging canyons in Malibu, where you feel like you're not on a bike anymore. It's like you guys have.
Totally, I could see
and
that.
maybe cowboys feel this on horses.
This is
Yeah.
like
You're an
skiing.
extension.
This sounds like skiing.
Well, you're
skiing.
in the most
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
scenery. California
Yeah.
highways are just like the most stunning fucking
PCH.
highways.
PCH,
Yeah, I mean,
canyons, yeah.
and you have this piece of powerful machinery underneath you that you are part of.
And then the vibration kind of like is like a sound machine.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You just
yeah.
kind of like dissolve. The
Yeah.
motorcycle's gone.
Wow, yeah,
You have
totally.
that moment.
Well, yeah,
in
because
moments.
when you describe like you could die, like it's life or death, like that's how I feel when I'm skiing. Like because you have to concentrate
Crazy.
so
You have to
hard
be so
because like
present. You have
to be
you
present.
actually are in you're very
lot of people
very
died.
imminent danger if you
Yeah.
fuck up even for a second.
So you can't be thinking about taxes. and-
No, that's why it was
yeah.
so freeing. That's why I
Yes.
love
Yeah.
it because all I was thinking about was staying alive.
Yeah,
I
which
was
is
like,
great.
I
One-
just have to
one-track mind.
stay alive right now, and I'm not thinking about anything else.
It forces you into the here and now, the present.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got to do tantra. That's on my list.
Everything we're talking about, by the way, right now is totally prescribed for breakups.
That's great.
Tantra, skiing,
Yeah.
the here and now,
Yeah.
flow states, creativity.
Yeah,
But like, so we've been talking about this a lot.
Squirting.
Like, a lot of these things are luxuries, right? So, like things that you need time and money for. How do you handle a breakup if you have your kids, you have
Yeah.
2 jobs, like, and you don't really have like how do you
grieve.
navigate it then?
Yeah,
What do
no,
you do?
it's, I think support. Well, I think you do you craft the most that you can with what you have. So if
Right.
it's one friend,
Yeah.
if it's a friend you haven't talked to in a while, so support. You might not be going to big parties, but then
Yeah.
maybe out of your house, out of your head is to fucking Walmart. I don't
Right.
know. Target.
So yeah, like a simple trip of like I'm
A
just
walk.
gonna run an errand and buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah, no, you're
It's
right.
And
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I'm
a
going to
walk.
be interested the whole time. Yeah, that is really.
So I
interesting.
would drive to the beach because it's free.
Yeah.
Third Eye Blind, just because
We
Our favorite-
I don't know if
we're
you know
their
this, but
favorite
this
podcast.
is this is Third Eye Blind's
said that
favorite
on-
podcast.
I said
Steven's
that
been
on
on our
purpose.
show.
Yes.
I also
Thank
just
you.
saw them recently. They're
Oh,
great.
really? Tell
Yep.
me, said hi.
Yep.
I'm in love with them.
No, saw them in person. I mean, saw them perform.
They're great.
They're great. Yeah.
They are great.
Fucking absolutely brilliant
They,
musicians.
by the way, they do that thing where they start playing and you don't know what the song is.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like a mashup. And
Yeah.
then it hits. But anyway,
They're so good.
running on the beach,
Yeah, the
diners by
sand.
myself, headphones, listening to podcasts, Wayne
Yeah.
Dyer, journaling, like stuff you could do. That's not expensive.
Well, running on the beach too, especially like if you're like, that's like from the book of Wicca, it's, grounding yourself.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
starting every day by, one way to, there are various ways to ground yourself, but one way quite simply is touching barefoot to
Yes.
the earth.
So,
Yeah.
so I love what you just said. Somatic.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that brings you into your body. So everything we're talking about,
Yeah.
the through line, whether it's tantra, motorcycles,
Get the fuck outta your
skiing,
head.
It's body related.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
ice plunges. Well, for me, ice plunges.
Ice.
fitness.
Oh, plunges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm still here. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I have this.
Well, it pulls you out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
All the distorted thinking.
Yeah, which is the best. And
Yeah.
and it can be like great to wallow in your head a little bit, but then because like there's one of my favorite books is called The Untethered Soul, and
yeah.
he talks about like your heart is an orchestra, and orchestras can play the most gorgeous, happy, exciting music you've ever heard, and the saddest,
Yeah.
deeply moving music. They're both equally amazing.
Beautiful, sure.
And so who's to say that the sad music is worse because it's sad? Like
Right.
no, that's not true. Like your heart is capable of so many emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and there is this like weird when I've been in the throes of grief. This didn't happen with my parents' grief because I was too sad that I couldn't see anything. But like with romantic grief and friend breakup grief of like really kind of basking in like, wow, this is the capability of the human heart. Like these are really heavy fucking feelings. But God, I feel alive. You
Yeah.
feel really alive when you're sad.
Speaking of third eye blind,
Yes, let's talk about Third
I've
Eye
never
Blind
felt
more.
so alone.
Yeah, and I never felt more.
yeah.
A motorcycle drive-by. What a
But,
great song.
The
There's a documentary.
The
on that.
background also a good song.
Yeah,
you
the
did
background's
you
a
lose your
great
parents?
No, I don't speak to them anymore. I don't speak to them.
So in a way, you kind of lost your. But
Yeah, yeah.
grieving that loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but also too, like I thought they were the best thing ever, and didn't realize anything was fucked up with the relationship, and carrying the stress of it on my shoulders. And then I think the grief also came of like this whole time this wasn't what I thought it was.
So that is also part of a breakup.
Yeah,
Not a
totally.
romantic breakup.
Yeah,
but it's very devastating.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and all that grief and all the 7 stages of grief and all that.
yeah. And also too, like if you think of like if everybody listening thinks of like the saddest they've ever felt, which is probably so dark and so sad for whatever the circumstance was, I already feel it for people. And then you think of where you are now, and like it will always pass.
Yeah.
Even your joy will pass like a wave.
It gives you more tree rings. There's no way it doesn't give you more wisdom.
Yeah.
When you go through any relationship, friendship, romantic, parents, whatever, come out the other side, stand up, look back, and, have perspective. It changes you.
Totally.
Perspective, new definitions, all of that.
Yeah.
But it's hard. You don't see that when you're in it, of course, because you're in the trenches.
Do. That's why I like talking to somebody who's going through a breakup. I'm like, this is going to be confusing to hear, but like, I'm so excited for you. Because I only see the corner because I'm not involved in the relationship. So it's, of course, easy.
I started a little community because I don't know what else to do for people going through this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Where can we find this community?
It's an app called Single on Purpose.
Oh, you have your own app.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
It's been in the making for 2 years.
Oh, congrats.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Well, because I keep hearing I hate swiping. I hate swiping and fucking we're baseball cards and toxic date. So this is an app.
Is it a dating app too?
Well, it is an indirect dating app.
Oh, that's cool.
It's all singles.
It's a bunch of vulnerable people
you can
talking
either, like,
about breakups together.
about being single.
They need healing.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like when you're word vomiting because you're in pain from a breakup, it feels a little bit better to also word vomit to somebody who's also hurting because you're like, at least I'm not burdening you.
Yeah.
You get it.
Do you guys feel like dating apps? I mean, are your friends all hate swiping or they love it?
Pretty much.
My friends are not on dating
Yeah,
apps.
it feels like it's happening where people are like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Like real world connection is much more. It's finally being seen as the value that it is.
So it's organic connections through the app where you're trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
And then, we have everyone here single.
I like that because
if
it's
you
no
connect-
pressure.
There's no pressure.
I like that.
Yeah.
I imagine that's really good for the women, especially.
No pressure, no filtered photos.
Yeah.
None of that. It's no one's
You're not trying to impress
creepy.
anybody. You're just being yourself.
No, you're just being yourself, but you're being
Which
vulnerable.
oddly enough, that's where a relationship a new one could spark.
Well, the connection is coming from vulnerability, not
Yeah.
from the filtered photos.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my new thing. Yeah.
love
Okay,
that.
cool. Well, congrats. And your new book, Breakup on Purpose, A Catalyst for Growth, by John Kim, is out. Is it out now? Can people pre-order it?
It's pre-order. It'll
Okay.
be out December 31st.
December 31st. Amazing.
New year, new you, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations on the book. Thanks for stopping by. It's always good having a conversation with you.
Thank
we
you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Yeah, always fun.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been Guys We Fuck, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday.